Good morning, yogis. Let's begin standing. So we're going to do a practice that will focus on some stabilization and engagement of our muscles rather than trying to go into that maximum shape, the biggest stretch that we can. So this will help us in our upward facing dogs. I mean, a lot of people don't find that really accessible because it might sort of, jam your lower back and you might not feel as flexible in the upper back. So this will be really helpful to us. And then also in our core work, we'll do some core work where we'll focus on stabilization more than how high we lift or how many reps we do or how low we lower our legs. And then the same thing we'll conclude with our Supta Padangusthasana, the big toe stretch, and focus on engagement, and then get as much stretch as you can with that strengthening. So that's the plan. And we'll start standing in our Tadasana. So connect your feet to the earth. See if you can lift up from the arches. Engage the muscles of your legs. Engage the belly. Bring your shoulders up, back, and down, and lengthen through the crown of your head. Feel some length in your neck. Just take a moment to land here in your body. Connect with your breath. Allow the breath to slow and deepen. And honor where you are today, modifying at any point as needed. Just making the practice feel good. So that, again, it's not always how much we can do, how deep we can stretch, how many repetitions we can do of something. It's just we want to leave the practice feeling good, doing what's most loving and serving for your body. So with that in mind, let's just start to warm up our joints before we move. And we'll do some neck rotation. So bring your ear towards your shoulder. Then you can rotate your chin over the shoulder, let your head drop back as your gaze goes up to the sky, left ear to left shoulder, and then rotate your gaze and have your chin follow the arc of your left collarbone through the midline and then go up and around again. Good. And then this next time, go to the left, and you can let the rest of the body move a little bit. Maybe you have to move the shoulders a little bit to feel these neck rotations, and that's okay. Let it feel good. And then the next time your chin comes back towards the midline, towards your chest, bring it up toward neutral. So you can feel a little lengthening in the neck, like you're lifting your ear tips, keeping a natural curve in your neck. And then let's do some shoulder rotation. So any way that feels comfortable for you, you can bring your shoulders up, forward, down, back. And do that about 8 times. And notice that the scapula along your back body, your shoulder blades start to glide. They come apart, they go together. Your shoulders lift and descend. Feeling a lot of movement in that whole thoracic area. Good. And then we'll go in the opposite direction. So up, back, down. Then bring that movement to stillness and pause here. Good, and notice how you're feeling. All right, let's even do our wrists a little bit. We're going to be doing some downward facing, or some sun salutations, I should say, and down dogs. So let's get our wrists warmed up. Maybe you can interlace your fingers into Yoga Mudra and make a figure 8. Let's get some movement in the wrists. And just about 8 times, and then go the other direction. Don't worry about it too much. It feels awkward at first, but the more you do it, the more it just kind of comes natural. And then after you've done that about 8 times, then you can flick your hands, flick your fingers as if you're shaking water off your fingers, just to create some space in the wrists. You want to do that through alignment and engagement, so we're going to be preparing for that, just to get space in there. All right, now we'll do a few side bends. as we warm up the side body and move the spine laterally. So your arms could stay by your sides if the shoulders don't feel up for, extending the arms. Your arms could be wide, or they could come together parallel, or even in your Sapana Mudra, where you interlace all fingers except for the pointers. So up to you. Engage your core and just flow side to side as far as feels comfortable for you today. Doesn't matter what we did yesterday, just enjoy today. Enjoy this side bending. Inhaling, exhaling. And the core support the movement. And the next time you fold to the right, hold it there and breathe. And maybe spin your heart up to the sky to avoid any forward folding. Breathe into the left side body. Feel this nice stretch from your fingertips all the way down to the heel. Good. And then rise up. If you have Sapana Mudra or any kind of interlace of the hands, switch it up and then flow again. This next time, let's fold over to the left and keep it there for a few breath cycles. Spinning the heart open, maybe gazing to the inside of your right arm or down at your left foot. Toning the belly, maybe your legs. Grounding your feet, even lengthening and taking all that length over. One more breath, and then rising up. Release your arms wide to the side. And notice how it feels now. Maybe you have a slightly fuller, deeper breath. All right, so let's do some rotations now. So you can open up your legs a little bit. If you have your mat lengthwise, you could even open up your feet mat breath. All right, and again, grounding the feet, toning the belly. Just start with some rotations. And just swing your arms. This is sweet Kripalu, we call this empty shirt sleeves. You could keep your hips facing forward and just rotate from the navel, or if you want a deeper rotation into the hip, you could pivot on the ball of the foot. Keep your core engaged so we don't jeopardize our spine. Keep nice and supported. And a few more, 4, and 3, and 2. And we'll want to bring it to stillness or start to slow it down. And then pause here and notice how you're feeling. And then let's bring our legs together into Tadasana, or close together so your legs touch. Bend your knees, hands on the thighs as if you're into your Utkatasana. And then soften the knees and straighten them, bringing them a little laterally each time. So you're kind of sort of rolling to the edges of your feet. And then go in the other direction. Around yourself, and then bring that to stillness and come to standing. Last one. Let's warm up our feet. So we're going to practice the principles of upward facing dog. And when we really do it, not when we really do it, one way to do it is to press the top of your foot down and lift your thighs. Now, there'll be an option to do that if you're so inclined, but it's a great stretch for the ankle. It kind of opens up the front of the ankle. So you can try that now, or you can try it in a minute. We'll do some rotations first. But as we have our foot behind us, maybe you add some rotations to the ankle. Actually, that might be better before we do that static hold. And you're kind of mushing around your toes to get a rotation in the ankle. If your toes are stiff, if this is shoe season, then maybe you just lift the leg a little, or send it forward and do your rotation sort of in the air rather than rolling over the toes. So whichever you choose, go in both directions about 8 times, and then bring it to stillness and plant the top of the foot down, and even soften your knees a little bit so you get a little opening in the foot. You can see that here. It feels good. I call it the counter pose for life, because mostly when we walk around, our feet are kind of like in dorsiflexion. We're walking around. Maybe not so much if you have, wear a little heel. But this is just a really good stretch. And after you do that for a couple of breath cycles, then plant the foot on the earth and notice, like, do you feel that you have a greater connection to the earth? So just notice, and then we'll do that on the other side. So rotation first, any way that you want to express that. Just do your best to really rotate that ankle. We don't do it very often. And we demand a lot from our ankles in our yoga practice and in our life. So it's good to work and strengthen our ankles. And then bring that movement to stillness. Maybe plant the top of the foot, even soften your knee. Release. Good job. All right. So noticing how you're feeling now. We'll begin with some half sun salutations that we'll take into our full sun salutations and some lunges to warm up. And we'll have a fun practice. So let's come to the short side of our mat. You can have blocks handy if you like, or not. Find your Tadasana. Feet are together or hip width, connecting your feet to the earth. Maybe even lift the toes, spread them wide, and lower your toes down one at a time. And then engage the legs, toe the belly, lengthen through the crown of the head. Let's take a big inhale and get really long. So don't even, a lot of times I'll say, let the shoulders descend down the back. Don't worry about the shoulders. It's good to have them get some movement in our shoulders and our scapula. So let's get as long as we can. Really reach, get long. And then exhale your hands down through prayer or swan dive as you hinge from your hips and you come into your forward fold. Soften your knees if you need to. This is our first forward fold. And then rise up halfway. And as you're doing this, really draw your navel in and your sideways in. So you're engaging your core to stabilize the spine and get more length here. And you're drawing the tailbone, getting long through the tailbone and the crown of the head. Then go exhale back into your fold. Bend your knees until your belly's on your thighs. Use your strong legs to rise up. You could roll up or come with a flat back, arms wide to the side, and hands to prayer. All right. So let's do that 2 more times with real particular awareness with the core engagement, especially in the half lift, but the whole time. All right. So let's do that again. Get long here. As long as you can, don't worry about your shoulders, just lift up. If you want to extend, you can lift your heart and gaze, but keep long so you don't feel any tension in the low back. And then exhale, hands to prayer or swan dive as you forward fold. Take your half lift, tone the belly, really lengthen through the side waist. Exhale, go back into your fold again. Bend your knees until your belly's on your thighs and rise all the way to stand. Good, hands to prayer. Nice. This next time, we will step back into a lunge. So big inhale here. Get long. Maybe extend if you like. Exhale and forward bend. Inhale, take a half lift. Get long. Exhale and fold. Actually, we're going to step into a full plank. We're going to do that instead first. So walk back into your full plank. Ground your hands on the earth. Engage your arm muscles so that you are not putting any strain on the wrists. Tone your belly like I talked about. So you're drawing your navel to the spine, hugging the side waist and cinching it in. Lengthening from the crown of your head to your heels. Even engage the front and backs of your legs. Now lower your knees down. You're like, oh, that was a lot, right? So lower your knees down. And then come forward with your hips. So you're in your modified plank. And then once again, engage your core. Draw the navel in, the side ribs in. Just putting a little, all your oblique muscles. Good. And then start to draw the shoulder blades together so you're lifting your heart and lengthening through the crown of the head. So we're kind of preparing for that upward facing dog so that the core engagement will support the lower back. We won't borrow movement from there. And then we could even maybe find through that support, find a little bit more of a opening in the thoracic spine. But we'll do that in subsequent times. So just this first one, we're going to practice the core engagement and then curl your toes under, sit your hips back towards your heels, kind of like you're in a puppy pose, but then you're going to send your hips to the sky and come into your dog pose. All right, and then from here, let's hang out here for a little bit. So if you want, you could pedal your feet to warm up your legs, rocking the hips to get a little rotation. We'll take a few breaths here. So again, lift your hips to the sky, but really draw the navel in. Engage the core. Put your head drop between your arms. So your ears are between your biceps. You maybe shake your head yes or no. And breathe here. Take 1 or 2 more breaths. And then look towards your hands. Walk your feet toward your hands and come into your Uttanasana once again. Inhale, half lift. Focus on that core engagement to create more length and support. Exhale back into your fold. Bend your knees until your belly's on your thighs and use your strong legs to rise you up. Come from an Utkatasana. Get a lot of leg strength and then hands to prayer. All right, let's do that a couple more times. So big inhale, get long. Really reach, get long. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, half lift. Get long, engage the core. Exhale, back into your fold. Soften your knees. Walk your feet back into your high plank. Good. Get a lot of engagement of your core. Shoulders are right over the wrists, kind of lining up with the outer hand. Your belly's engaged. Lower your knees. Maybe now your hips are already set up. They're kind of like tilted forward. So they're maybe in line with your rib cage. If you need to keep them a little elevated to engage your belly more easily, that's fine too. And then squeeze the shoulder blades together. So you're lifting your heart. Good. Nice. Nice. So you're starting to work toward the upward facing dog, right? But we don't feel any compression in the low back because we have our core supporting it. We're creating length there. And we're finding this opening in the upper spine. Maybe even lift your gaze. Take another breath or 2 here. And then curl your toes under. Set your hips back towards your heels. And then up to the sky. Dog pose. Number 2. Take 1 more breath or so. And then let's look up toward our hands. Walk, step, or hop our feet toward our hands. Take a half lift. Exhale and fold. Bend your knees until your belly's on your thighs and strong legs rise you up. Hands to prayer and prayer to your heart. So hopefully that's feeling good, creating a little warmth. And we will do that 1 more time and we'll work toward our, maybe a fuller expression of upward facing dog if that feels comfortable for you. So big inhale, getting long. Maybe extend or focus on the length. Don't worry about your shoulders. Just let it feel good. Take all that length into your forward fold with bent or straight legs. Rise up halfway. Really lengthen, like you're trying to draw the head away from your hips, but you're engaging your core here. And then go back into your fold. Soften your knees so your hands could come onto the earth or your blocks as you walk back into your plank. Send your hips forward, right over the hands. Lengthen from crown of head to heel. Engage your core. Lower your knees down once again. Aligning hips with rib cage or keep them slightly elevated for you to access the core. Draw your side waist in. Draw the navel in, like you're really cinching your waist here. Staying here, you'll then lift your heart a little bit. Maybe you're lifting your gaze a little bit. Feel the shoulder blades drawing together. But again, as you do that, don't drop the hips. And this is what really hurts, I think, in upward facing dog. But actually, when I do this, when I drop my hips, I even feel it more in my wrists. I put the weight to the heels of my hands. I'm noticing that. So when I lift my hips a little bit, engage my core, I don't know, it even inspires me to engage my arm muscles a little bit more. So try that. And then if you want, you can uncurl your toes and plant the tops of your feet. Maybe some of you might want to explore pressing the feet down and lifting the legs, engaging the legs. And then we could all maybe lift the heart a little bit more. And breathe here in your fullest expression of upward facing dog, whatever that is for you right now. Now you can lower your knees back down, send your hips to your heels to go back to your dog pose. Or those who are on the tops of the feet, can you start to sort of pike up, engage your core, lift your hips, roll over your toes, and go back into your downward facing dog. Take a few breath cycles here. Take one more breath, and then look up towards your hands. Walk, step, or hop your feet towards your hands. Take a half lift, find that length. Exhale, take all that length back into your fold. Bend your knees until your belly is on your thighs, and rise all the way up to standing. Hands to prayer, and prayer to our heart. Good. And notice how you're feeling now. Now, we're going to go into our warrior sequence. I'm going to turn this way. So we'll do just a couple, warrior 1 and warrior 2. We'll do it a little differently today. So maybe start with your hands on your hips. Put the weight into your right foot. And then step your left foot back. Find it's sort of like a Tadasana leg. The foot might be facing out, or it could be slightly turned in. But you have like this kind of a neutral hip here. This right hip is externally rotated as you bend the knee. And then once you feel grounded with your leg, you may have to adjust this back foot, but we're keeping this hip kind of like more Tadasana, more neutral, right? So see how that feels, and then start to turn your torso towards that right knee and send your arms to the sky. Virabhadrasana 1, a little different from how we express it in Kripalu yoga, where we kind of come onto the ball of the foot, which is also called crescent lunge. So see how this feels today. Really ground into that back leg. Engage your core to support this rotation. The length, get long. You can really lift the shoulders up if you want, or you can let them descend so that there's more length in our neck. Take one more breath here. And then we're going to open up into warrior 2. So maybe you don't bend your right leg at all. You just send that right arm forward and wiggle that left arm back. And you might have to change the angle of your back foot a little bit. I turned it a little bit more out. And open up your hips to the side. Good. In Kripalu yoga, we call this side warrior. So just feel that. Let's go back and forth like that one more time. So change the angle of the back foot if you need to. You can, I set my arms down towards the earth and then up to the sky as I rotate my torso towards that right foot. And I'm really grounding into my back leg, engaging the hamstring, engaging my front leg, my belly. Trying to navel in. One more breath. Next inhale, let's open up into our warrior 2. Maybe you can sink a little deeper here this time. But keep that knee over the ankle. Back leg active. Gaze down the middle finger of your right hand. One more breath. And then we'll straighten our leg as we send our arms to the sky. Pivot your right foot. We're going to go into our Devyasana pose. So heels come in, toes go out, arms come up. Get long once again. And don't even worry about the shoulders. Bend elbows and knees and squat down into Devyasana. And make adjustments to your knees if you need to so that they are happily right over your ankles and pointing in the direction of the toes. Rise back up on your inhale. Exhale, bend elbows and knees and squat down. Good. Nice. Inhale, rising up, getting long. Exhale, drawing the navel in, engaging the core to support this movement as you sit back towards your heels into your Devyasana. One more time. Inhale here. And exhale and squatting down. Now stay into your squat. Let your hands come onto your thighs. Right hand presses into that right thigh as you drop the shoulder towards the midline. Getting a deep stretch on that whole right side. Feels good. Come back through center, other side. Really press the thigh away. Maybe this will help your little squat here. Good. Come back through center. Release your hands onto the earth or your blocks. Straighten your legs and straighten your feet. So you've got them more parallel, or the toes can be slightly turned in, up to you. Maybe sink into your forward fold, into your press area. So unlike the Devyasana, we're shifting our weight forward. We're lifting the hips to the sky, engaging the fronts and backs of the legs, engaging your side waist. So you're folding yourself in half. And then let's rise up halfway. So your hands could be on the earth or your blocks. Let's bring the right hand into the midline, or even slightly to the left if it feels interesting to you. Tone and lengthen your torso and start to rotate from your belly to the left with left hand on the hip or up to the sky. And then lower that hand down, walk both hands through the midline, keeping the left hand right underneath your shoulder or slightly to the right, even reaching towards that right foot if you like. Lift and lengthen your torso, tone your belly, start to rotate to the right. Right hand climbs up onto the hip or goes to the sky. One more breath here. And then slowly unwind. Bring your hands back to center. You can go back into your forward fold one more time. Keep lifting the hips, lengthening the crown of the head towards the earth. Maybe hands are under the shoulders, or maybe you're holding on to your legs, calves, ankles, big toes. And then let's rise up halfway. Get long through our torso. Engage the core again. Consider how you're going to come out of this. You could bring your hands onto your hips or out like a T, and you could rise up with core strength. You could heel toe your feet together, so that may be a little easier. You could come up with soft knees and roll up. Maybe give your spinal massage, roll up like a snake. So up to you. For second side, you can decide how you might want to come up. Whatever feels interesting to you right now. And then take a moment or two. You can bring your feet back to neutral and notice how you're feeling now. Let's go to the other side. So back to the short side of our mat, back into our Tadasana. Grounding feet, engaging legs, toning belly, finding that neutral pelvis, hugging the side ribs and lengthening through crown of head. Hands onto your hips to start. Soften your knees. Send your right leg back. Plant that foot sort of in your Tadasana leg, or at that sort of slight, 30-degree angle, some sort of an angle where the toes are in. Up to you. Bend the left knee over the ankle. And actually notice that the length of the stance could be up to you. Generally it might be one of your leg distances, but see what that feels like as you then ground into the back leg and turn your left hip back, right, or left rib cage back, right rib cage forward. Not the hips, it's really the rib cage. Tone your belly. Send your arms to the sky. Let this feel good. Ground into the back leg, engaging the front leg a little bit more. That'll give you the foundation for this rotation from your navel. Take one more breath, and then open up into warrior two. So send the left arm forward, right arm back, open up hips and torso to the side. Maybe even widen the stance or change that angle, spill that foot out toward 90 degrees. So you've got that Tadasana leg, grounding into the foot, knee over the ankle, arms active wide to the side, gaze down the middle finger of your right hand. Let's do that one more time. So just spinning that left rib cage back, right rib cage forward. Over your one. Opening up, warrior two. Left arm forward, right arm back. Nice, good. Settle in. Last warrior. And then yogis, let's straighten our legs, extend our arms to the sky, pivot your feet to the long side of the mat. Heels in slightly, toes out, bend elbows and knees, and take you Devyasana. Inhale, rising up again, getting long, and even lifting your gaze. Feel that leg. Exhale, draw the tailbone down. Your core is engaged to support the low back. You're broad across your collarbones here, drawing your shoulder blades toward each other. 2 more. Inhale, rising up. And exhale and squatting down, maybe sinking a little deeper, strengthening the glutes and the hamstrings. And then last time, squatting down, staying here and floating your hands onto your thighs. Press your left hand into your left thigh and draw that shoulder toward the midline as you lengthen through the torso and feel that gentle rotation from your navel, your gaze. Come back up through center and then other side. One more time each side. Left side. Noticing that gaze. Back through center, over to the right. Back through center. Lower your hands onto the earth and then straighten your legs. Pivot your feet. Parallel or toes slightly turned in. Good, getting long, engaging the core, lengthening from hips to crown of head. You can melt into that fold, into our prasarita. Even grabbing the legs if you want. And then rising up. Good. Let's take a twist. So we're going to bring our right hand right under the shoulder or slightly towards the left. Left hand onto the hip. As the torso lengthens, the core engages, and that supports the rotation. Slowly lower your hand down. Both hands through the midline for a moment. Lengthen, engage. Left hand stays under the shoulder or slightly right as you rotate. And then unwind. One more round in prasarita, so you can shift the weight towards the balls of the feet. Really engage your legs, hinge on your hips, lengthen the torso. Bringing the crown of your head energetically towards the floor. Maybe reaching your hands back behind you. And then yogis, let's start to lift up halfway and decide how we're going to come out of this pose again. So you can bring your legs closer together and roll up. You can go up with a flat back. Up to you. You decide. And then once you come to standing, you can heel toe, step, prop your feet together. And return to Tadasana. Maybe float a hand onto the belly and onto one another, onto your heart. And take a moment to notice how you're feeling now. Today we will go into our Ardhidasana, our eagle pose. So if you'd like to have a wall or a prop nearby for support, if you want to have blocks to the outside of your foot, you can do that. And we'll start with our hands on our hips. So the main thing we want to get out of this posture is their balance. So if you don't want to add your arms, you don't have to. So we're in our Tadasana, starting with hands on hips. Legs are together, like one leg. Bring your feet together. And then bend your knees and squat down into sort of your Utkatasana, that awkward chair, where you're shifting your weight back towards your heels, you're drawing your tailbone down, and you're engaging your belly. You're sideways, you're drawing your navel in. Good. Now put all the weight into your right leg, and if you wanted blocks, it'd be to the outside of the right foot. Keep that leg bent, pick up the left leg, bring it up and over so that your knees stack. The foot could float here, it could rest on blocks, or maybe it could wrap around. If you get the wrap, make sure that you draw your hips back. Beautiful. Squeeze your legs together. Maybe go a little deeper into that squat. Keep your hands where they are at prayer, or you can bring them together in the Garudasana arms, eagle arms, by bringing the left elbow onto the right. Hands could float onto the shoulders, or they could wrap around as well. Take one more breath. And then we're going to unwind and go right into a second balance pose. So if you can, send that left leg back a little bit as you bring your right leg towards straighter. Maybe you could hinge forward and come into your warrior three. So that left leg could be lifted a little or a lot. You could keep your eagle arms. You could unwind your arms and send them back. Core stays engaged. Lengthen from crown to heel. And then slowly float the left foot to meet the right. Just take a few breath cycles here. All right. Other side. Hands on hips. If you use blocks, move them to the outside of your left foot. If you want a wall to the outside of the left leg, that's fine too, or a chair. Legs together, squatting down. Really feel that energetically you're drawing your legs toward each other. Tailbone's drawing down, chest is lifting, core is engaging. Weight shifts to left foot as you pick up that right leg. Bring it up and over. The higher the wrap starts, the more of a likelihood there is of a wrap of the calf. And once you get it, really draw that hip back. Kind of wants to go forward. Nice. Staying here, going maybe deeper into your squat. Or maybe adding Devyasana arms with right elbow under left. Oh, sorry. Garudasana arms or eagle arms, not Devyasana. You can get there from Devyasana. And then we are going to unwind when you're ready, maybe even prematurely, and start to send that right leg back behind you as the left foot comes towards straighter. Pick it up a little bit or a lot. Maybe hinge forward to the T of warrior three. Maybe float your arms into your airplane. Have fun with it. Just fly here for a couple of breath cycles. And then slowly lower your right leg to meet your left and find your Tadasana once again. Good. You can bring a hand on the belly, a hand on the heart, and notice how you're feeling now. So let's make our way down onto our mat. If you'd like to go down by way of a squat, you could. We'll end up on our backs in constructive rest. So however you'd like to get there, let's come on down and have a little seat here. Turning sideways onto our back. Oops. All right, so just take a moment. Just lounge here, integrating the work that we've done thus far. So, core engagement. I like to do a lot of core work. It really is helpful for everything that we do, supports our yoga practice, our life. So, this sequence, we'll use the upper body, we'll do some side work, and we'll use our legs. Through the whole sequence, do your best to keep the core engaged, to keep the low back kind of drawing down towards the mat, your navel in, and really engaging the core like we practiced in our upward dog, in our Ardha Uttanasana poses today. So you're going to do that. So that's going to be the thing. If you feel but back start to arch, then maybe reduce the movement, whatever we're doing at the time. So let's give that a try with just some basic crunches. So draw the low back down, the low belly down, hands into a crunch position as you lift. And then keep the low back and the core engaged as you lower a little bit and then lift again. Just a few, 4, 3. So it's almost like a little pulsation. 2, and last time, good. And then lower. Release your arms. We'll do the same thing. Engage the core, lift the chest and head a little bit. So but you're looking upward. Arms can float by the sides or palms could face each other. And you're just gonna reach toward one ankle and then the other and just reach. So keep the core engaged and really feel that you're kind of squeezing the sideways. Don't let the hips move. Just reaching for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And lower back down. Maybe shake your head, rock it side to side. Okay. Now we'll do it with our legs lifted, which will make it a little bit more challenging to not arch the back, especially as we lower our legs. We're going to start with alternating legs, then we'll lower both legs. So you might have a tendency to arch the back here. So only lower your legs as far as you're able to keep the core engaged in the low back and belly drawing down. So lift your legs to the reverse table. Or actually, let's start it with our legs down. That's what we'll do. Start with your legs back down. Draw the low belly down. Lift your head and shoulders like you're just looking straight up to the sky. And then you can lift the leg and lower. And lift and lower and lift and lower. Good. So keep the core stabilized as you do this. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good, nice. And lower your head and shoulders, maybe rock your head side to side. Sometimes that causes a little tension in the neck, keeping the head elevated. You could always support your neck a little bit more with your hands if that's necessary. All right, so now let's lift the legs again to the reverse table, keeping the knees over the hips. Low back and belly draw down as your head and shoulders lift. Now let's just lower one leg and then the other. Here we go, and let's do 4, 3, 2, and last time. Now maybe you can keep your legs where they are, lower your head and shoulders, pause for a moment, let's, kind of the natural lumbar curve resume. Last set, and then we'll stretch it out. So draw low belly down, lift head and shoulders, and then just lower your legs a little bit and then bring them back up. So you're doing both legs. Don't let your back arch, keep your core supporting this movement. Doesn't matter how low our legs go down. Four, 3, 2, and 1. And then lower your head and shoulders, lower your legs, release your arms by your side. Let's do a little bridging. Adjust your feet so that ankles, knees are aligned with hips. Feet are grounded. Maybe you can feel your heels with your hands so that the ankles are below the knees, arms by your sides. And then with your core engaged too, start to draw the tailbone towards the knees. So you're keeping the back neutral, the low back neutral, and you're starting to move this back bend to the upper back and getting a nice stretch in the front of the body, the abdominal wall after that work. And And you can lower down a few times and then rise up, drawing the tailbone toward the knees, engaging the, keeping the core stable so the low back doesn't, excessively arch. And feel the back bend moving towards your upper back. One more time, lower down and peel up. Keep squeezing your inner thighs toward each other. Take one more breath here, close expression, and then lower it down. Release your legs. Send your arms overhead, take a big stretch. Really reaching your feet away from the hands, get a big stretch in the belly, maybe even like reaching side to side. The shoulders could be up by the ears, let it feel good. And exhale and release. Nice. Now keep your legs where they are, sweep your arms by your sides, and bring your right knee in towards your chest. Give it a squeeze. You can keep all 10 toes facing the ceiling so that your feet are dorsiflexed. You can stay here as you pull your right leg in and ground your left leg down, or you could extend that leg right over your hip. If you do, you could support that heel with a strap or your hands around your hamstring, and then keep extending through the heel and engaging the leg, the front of your leg, the back of your leg, all the way through your heel. The same thing with the left, the extended leg, draw that down. So we're focusing on engagement here more than how deep you go into the stretch. Back of your head is rounding. Your belly's toned here. Nice. Take one more breath. Now you could lower your leg with it, through the extension or even with the support of the strap, or you could bend your knee before you lower it down. And pause. And then let that leg drop out to the side, the left leg out to the side. And notice how that feels now. Good. And let's go to the other side. So draw the left knee in, give it a squeeze. Draw your right leg down. Nice. Left leg up to the sky. Supported with your strap or your hands or not. Maybe keep it bent. Draw the right leg down and engage your left. Stretch. Take one more breath. And then slowly lower that leg down. And pause here. And notice how that feels. Let's try that one more time. And if you want to deepen the stretch, you can, but you'll just really keep that engagement. So that'll be more important than how deep you go into the stretch. So the toes face the ceiling as we bring the right leg in and extend it to the sky. Engage both legs. So left leg draws down as that right leg engages, and then maybe you can pull it in a little bit. But keeping the engagement, that's more important than how deep we go into the stretch today. Just to keep our muscles engaged to support the body. Take one more breath. And then slowly lower that leg down. And we can go right to the other side. Drawing the right leg down, lifting the left leg. Keeps the muscles of both legs and then bring it in as much as you're able to without losing the strength. One more breath. And then slowly lower your leg down. Let your feet drop out to the sides, your arms by your sides. Nice. And then bend your knees, plant your feet on the earth. Open up your feet, mat width apart. And let's finish up with a little windshield wiping on the legs. Oh, you can even send your arms out like a T. So that we have movement through the hip, through the spine. Maybe as your legs go in one direction, you'll even roll your head to the opposite direction. This rocking can be very soothing after a little bit of a vigorous practice. If you like, you can even hold your legs in one direction and let that outside leg, the externally rotated, the foot of the externally rotated leg rest on the knee of the internally rotated leg. And we can get a nice stretch in the psoas. The belly can move a little into an extension here. Just surrender for these next few moments. Then you go to the other side. We have the foot come on the knee and draw that knee down. And come onto the ear, this on the side of your head. Slowly come back to neutral, walking your feet back. Take a couple of breaths here and notice how you're feeling. Send your arms by your sides in a low V. Extend your legs out onto your mat, letting the feet drop out to the side. Take a big inhale and exhale it out. So now let's just use these next few moments to integrate the work that we did and relax. And to help us relax, let's do a little exercise of engaging our muscles, like we did in some of our poses, and then releasing so they can even relax even more for these last few moments of our practice together. So starting with your right leg, maybe even curl your toes under, tighten your foot, tighten your calf, your thigh, your hamstring, even up into your hip. Just tighten that leg as much as you can. Tighten, 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 tighten. You can feel your glute is tightening, and then release it. And then do that on the other side. Curl your toes, squeeze your foot, your calf, your thigh, your glutes, your hip. Feel everything engaged. Squeeze it even harder. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then release. Now let's do that with our right arm. So maybe make a fist with your hand and tighten your arm, your lower arm, your upper arm into your shoulder, your chest, maybe slightly into your side waist, your back body. Tighten it a little more and then release. And then the same on the left side. Tighten, 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 tighten. And then release. And now let's do our arms again. Let's start to get into our belly. So make a little fist with your arms, engage your belly. Or even go into your glutes or your chest, drawing your shoulder blades together. And release. And lastly, let's do our face and head. So can you scrunch your face and your lips and your ears and your tongue and maybe the skin on your skull and your neck, and just get really tight into your chest. And then release. And now one more time, let's do the whole body. So just tighten your legs, your belly, your arms, your chest, your face. Just tighten everything. And then exhale and surrender. Let your feet drop out. Soften your toes. Surrender your heels. your calves, your back of your thighs, your hips to the support of the earth. Soften your belly, your low back, your upper back, your arms, your fingers, your shoulders. Slow the breath and soften the belly and your chest, the space between your collarbones, your face, your eyes, your ears. Letting even the weight of your head go to the support of the earth. And let's rest here now for these next few moments to integrate our practice, restore our vital energy, and absorb the Shanti, the peace of yoga. If you want to lay here longer, you are welcome to. If you're ready to come up to seated, let's begin by slowly bringing movement to our fingers and toes. Rock our head side to side. As we allow our breath to deepen, we sweep our arms overhead, maybe reaching up through fingers and down through toes. Getting long again. And then exhale and release. Maybe sweep your arms by your sides and give the knees a squeeze. And rock side to side. And then roll over to your right side with either bent or straight legs. Pause for a moment before using your right elbow and left hand to sit up slowly and mindfully. Coming to a comfortable seat, whatever that is for you right now. Connecting sits bones to earth, bringing tone to the belly again, and finding length all the way up through the crown of your head. Draw hands together to heart center in gratitude for the ability to move in your body in this way, to practice in community. Seal our practice by joining our voices in a gentle hum. Inhale. The divine light in me honors the divine light in me. Namaste. Thank you.